Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the e-entrepreneur success mindset to figure out the secret sauce. What separates the online businesses that thrive from the ones that, well, don't. Let's get right into it. All right, let's just kick things off with a number. And it's a big one. A kind of scary one, actually. 90%. Yup, that's the percentage of internet startups that just, poof, disappear within their first 120 days. 9 out of every 10. And listen, this isn't about bad luck. It's about making the same predictable mistakes over and over again. So you have to ask, right? What do those other 10% know that everyone else is missing? It's not some crazy revolutionary idea, and it's not about working yourself to the bone. It's about fundamentally understanding the game you're actually in. And that game starts right up here in your head. The single biggest difference, the one thing that separates success from failure, is a massive shift in your mindset. It's like a complete rewiring of how you think about work, value, and money. See, most of us come into this game playing by the wrong rules. We've got this employee mindset baked into us. We think time plus effort equals money. But in the world of entrepreneurship, that equation is just flat out wrong. You can work 80 hours a week and make zero if you aren't creating value and, this is the important part, making sales. And this is so important to get. Being busy, tweaking your website, organizing your folders, it feels productive, right? But it's just an illusion of progress. Revenue, actual money in the bank, is the only true validation that you've created something people value. Until someone pays you for it, you don't have a business. You just have a hobby. So, okay, once you've got this new mindset, how do you actually build on it? Well, it turns out every single successful internet business is built on the exact same 4 pillars, no exceptions. Seriously, picture your business like a building. If any one of these foundational cornerstones is weak or just plain missing, the whole thing gets wobbly and unstable. It doesn't matter how hard you work on the floors above, it's destined to crumble. So, what are they? First, the right mindset, which we've just talked about. Second, understanding and using leverage to multiply your results. Third, building a powerful network of influence. And fourth, both finding a mentor and eventually becoming one. You can see how they all lock together, right? They reinforce each other and create this amazing upward spiral of growth. All right, foundations set. Now let's get into the day-to-day stuff, the actual operating principles that separate the true professionals from the hopeful amateurs. This right here, this is the razor's edge. It's the daily decision that's going to determine whether your business grows or just stagnates. You have to ask yourself constantly, am I just doing work or am I actually making deals? Just look at these 2 columns for a second. The busy work stuff on the left, it's comfortable, it's safe. Nobody can reject you for organizing your files. But the deal-making stuff on the right, that has risk. That means putting yourself out there. And it's the only column that actually puts money in your pocket. You have to relentlessly prioritize the activities on the right. Now let's talk about your secret weapon for long-term exponential growth. Because in a world that changes this fast, you absolutely have to invest in your number one asset. And that asset is you. This isn't a nice to have, it's a core business strategy. It's called the 5% rule, and it's dead simple. You invest a minimum of 5% of your time each week into activities that expand your skills and knowledge. I mean, think about it. In a 50-hour work week, that's only 2.5 hours. But the compounding effect over time, it's absolutely massive. And yeah, you guessed it, the exact same principle applies to your income. You take 5% of what you earn and pour it right back into yourself. Books, courses, coaching, whatever. Why? Because here's a hard truth. Your business can never, ever outgrow you. Your personal growth sets the ceiling for your business's growth. Period. Okay, this is where it all comes together. We're moving to the ultimate goal here, building a business that actually works for you instead of the other way around. I mean, really, think about this for a second. If the only way for you to make more money is to work more hours, you haven't really built a business. You've just built yourself a more demanding, high-stress job. The real goal is to break that direct link between your time and your income. So how do you break that link? The answer is one powerful word: leverage. Leverage is the ultimate force multiplier. It's what allows you to get maximum results from minimum input. It's the difference between building a job and building an empire. And the model is beautiful in its simplicity. Step 1, you create a valuable asset one single time. Think an online course, an ebook, a piece of software. Step 2, you automate the sales and delivery process. And step 3, you profit from that one-time effort again and again and again. Yeah, this quote really says it all, doesn't it? This is the end game. It's about building smarter, not just working harder. It's about creating a true business asset that serves you, not just a job that depends on you showing up every day. So that's the question I want to leave you with. Take a hard look at what you're doing and ask yourself honestly, are you building a job or are you building an asset? Because the answer to that one question will determine your entire entrepreneurial journey.
Have you ever looked around and wondered why some online entrepreneurs just seem to get it? They make it look so easy, while so many others are just stuck spinning their wheels. It's a really frustrating reality in the digital world. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and break down the playbook that separates the ones who struggle from the ones who succeed. We're going to find out what it really takes to win.
Okay, let's start with the number, 90%. This is the reality for the huge majority of e-entrepreneurs. They're stuck. They're chasing results that are all over the place, and they're struggling to get any real momentum. You know, it's a tough place to be, and it is way too common. But then you've got the other side of the coin. This small group, just 10%. They're the ones who get consistent growth, predictable income, and that freedom they were looking for in the first place. So what's their secret sauce? Is it just luck? Are they geniuses? Do they have some kind of unfair advantage?
Well, here it is. And honestly, it's so much simpler than you might think. The powerful thing here is that simplicity. The real difference isn't about talent. It's about a relentless, absolutely non-negotiable commitment to taking action every single day. That simple idea is the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. So we know that taking action is the key, right? But what actually drives that action? This is where we see the first major split between the 90% and the 10%. And it all starts inside, with their internal operating system, their mindset.
Now, before you can build the mindset of the 10%, you've got to know where you're starting from. So think of this next part as a quick, totally honest mindset audit. As we go through these, just see which side feels a little more you. Seriously, think about it for a second. A launch doesn't go how you planned, a potential client says no, an ad totally bombs. What's your immediate gut reaction? Because that answer, it reveals a whole lot.
And this right here, this is a massive fork in the road. The 90%, they tend to see failure as a final verdict. They look for external reasons, the algorithm, the economy, bad luck. But the 10%, they see it as pure data. They don't waste a single second on blame. They just figure out the lesson and apply it right away. One is passive, the other is active.
Oh man, the classic shiny object syndrome. We've all been there, right? The 90%, they spread their energy so thin across a dozen different ideas, which basically guarantees that none of them get enough traction to actually work. The 10%, though, they practice disciplined focus. They pick one path, one offer, and they commit to it until it works.
Okay, this one is huge. Let's talk about selling. For the 90%, it often feels kind of sleazy or pushy, something to be avoided. But for the 10%, it's seen as an act of service. They truly believe their product or service solves a real problem, so selling is just connecting that solution with the people who desperately need it. That one little shift in perspective changes the entire game. So how do the 10% actually build this powerful mindset? Well, it's not random, it's a system. Their success is built on a really clear framework. 4 foundational principles that we're going to call the 4 cornerstones.
And here they are, the 4 pillars that hold up every successful online business: mindset, focus, consistency, and continuous learning. Now, these aren't just buzzwords you put on a poster. They are actionable principles you live by.
All right, cornerstone number 1, mindset. This is the non-negotiable belief in your own ability to figure things out. And here's the kicker, it's about taking absolute ownership. No blaming the algorithm, no blaming the market, no blaming bad luck. Your results are your responsibility, period.
Next up, focus. And notice the key word here is discipline. The real superpower of focus isn't just knowing what to do. It's having the discipline to say no to all the other good ideas so you can go all in on the great one. It's about committing to one thing long enough for it to actually pay off. And then there's consistency. Man, this is like the compound interest of success. Motivation is great, but it comes and goes. Habits and systems, that's what gets you through the boring parts and the plateaus. Success isn't about one giant leap. It's about thousands of small, consistent steps that add up over time.
And finally, continuous learning. The 10% don't just passively consume free content. They strategically invest in themselves, in their own skills. And here's the most important part. They apply what they learn immediately. Knowledge without implementation is just trivia.
Okay, so we've got the 4 cornerstones. Awesome. But what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday afternoon? Well, this next concept, work versus deals, this might be the single most practical tool you can use to figure out exactly where your time is going and why you might be feeling stuck.
So just take a look at this breakdown. Does this feel a little familiar? This is where most entrepreneurs live. A shocking 80% of their time is spent on work. Activities that feel productive but don't actually bring in any money, while only 20% is spent on deals. So let's get really clear on what these mean. Work is all the stuff that makes you feel busy. It's tweaking your logo for the 5th time, organizing your files, or scrolling social media and calling it market research. Deals, on the other hand, are the actions that directly lead to revenue. Sending that outreach email, creating a new offer, getting on a sales call, writing an ad. The 10%, they live and breathe in the deals column.
All right. So, we've diagnosed the problem. We understand the mindset shift, we've got the cornerstones, and we see that critical difference between work and deals. So what's the plan? Well, this is where we shift from theory to action with a 120-day transformation plan.
And look, you don't have to boil the ocean here. Real, lasting change happens in stages. This 120-day map just breaks the whole journey down into 4 manageable 30-day sprints, and each one has a super clear focus. It all starts with building that solid foundation.
And here are the specific goals for that crucial first month. Notice how action-oriented this is. It's not about thinking about your niche. It's about gaining absolute clarity. It's about validating your idea with real people, creating a simple first version of your offer, your MVO, and most importantly, making that first sale. This is all about doing, not just planning.
And that's the key, really. All this theory, all this knowledge is totally useless without one thing. You have to take that first step. Not a work action, like designing a new business card, but a real deal-making action. Something that actually moves you one step closer to a sale.
So that's the challenge I'm leaving you with. You've seen the map, you understand the difference between being busy and being productive, so what is the one deal-making action you will commit to taking in the next 48 hours? Because that single action, that's the beginning of your journey into the 10%.